With this photograph, we're going to explore how we can apply a solarization effect which has a golden tone to it. And then at the end of the movie, we'll experiment a little bit just for the fun of it. Well, for starters, in order to create the solarization effect, we'll first begin by clicking on our black and white adjustment layer icon. Next step, we'll go back to the adjustment panel and then we'll click on our curves adjustment icon. Now what we want to do here is simply go to that curves pull down menu and then select our preset, which is solarization, which we created in one of the previous movies. Now if you don't have that preset, no big deal. All you need to do is to click on that drawing tool, click in the bottom corner over here, and then hold down the shift key, click up at the top, hold down the shift key again, and then click in the bottom right hand corner over there. Alright, well once we have that effect in, the next step is going to be to go back to our adjustment panel and then to click on curves one more time. Well, here we're going to go into our different channels in order to modify the overall color of this image. Let's start off in the blue-yellow channel. Here we'll go back to editing points. Then we're going to click and drag down, adding a lot of yellow there, just a ton of yellow. Next we'll go back to that red channel and just add a bit of red to get this going. And then we'll go to the RGB composite channel. Here we want to brighten things up significantly and also darken some of the deeper tones. And already we're starting to come up with this interesting aesthetic. We can take this further by going into green magenta if we want perhaps a little bit more magenta in there. Gives it a little bit more of that gold and red type of aesthetic. A really intriguing type of a color palette here. Once we've dialed in this look, we almost always want to go back to the black and white adjustment. Now here we can control the brightness of different areas of the photograph. If we want a little more brightness on the face, we can control that, or we can work on that phone there, just brightening that up, maybe make that a little bit more white. And we can control some of the other areas as well. And again, all you want to do here is simply modify these sliders until you like the way that it looks. And so I'm just going to make a few adjustments in order to change that up a bit. Alright, well that looks pretty interesting. So far, so good. Well, the next thing that I want to do is go to my background layer. I'm going to copy this by pressing Command or Control J, and then I'm going to drag this to the top of the layer stack. What we're going to do with this particular image is we're going to change the blending mode to soft light. When we do that, it'll give us a really interesting look. Check it out. Here's that before and then after. Essentially, we have a little bit more there on the lips and in the eyes and in a few other areas in regards to the overall contrast and also the tone of the skin. So let's name this top layer here Soft Light. Next step, in order to just get creative with this, is going to be to duplicate this layer one more time. So let's go ahead and do that by pressing Command or Control J. Now with this top layer, you can see that again is affecting the image. And there are so many different ways that we can modify the image, so many different things we can do. One thing we might want to try would be to change the blending mode to normal. And again, this is just for the sake of experimentation. Next, we could go ahead and choose adjustment layer like hue saturation and desaturate. And then apply this as a clipping group by clicking on this icon here. So that in other words, this desaturation is only affecting the underlying layer. Well, next we'll take this to a blending mode of soft light. What that will do is it will give us this interesting kind of bleached out look. Here's that before and after. Well, now that we have that, we can then modify the blending mode of this layer. There are lots of different ways we can do this. One technique we might want to try is soft light. Another one that we might want to try is to simply leave this on normal and then to go ahead and hold down Option or Alt and click on the Add Layer Mask icon. Well, that then conceals all of that bleached out color kind of aesthetic. Well, if we want to paint it in, we could grab our brush, right? Make our brush nice and small here, soft edges, and then we could bring in different aspects of the photograph. And what can be fun sometimes is even just to go across your image and look at how you can bring in different areas of your photograph, creating different aesthetics or looks or feel or overall effects in regards to the image. And again, the point here isn't that you're going to do this on every image, but the point is just to experiment and take a look at how you can start to combine these different effects together. Well, here these last layers I don't think are the best, so I'll go ahead and disregard those. But I think that this look is indeed pretty interesting. It's a golden solarized aesthetic. Let's examine how we created it. Well, if we go back through our layers, and if we turn off the visibility, we start off with a color image, convert to black and white, apply that solarization curves adjustment, the one that goes up top and then down to the bottom. Next, we created another curves adjustment, and this really was the magic layer, right? It's looking at how we combine curves with solarization in order to come up with something completely different. And then the final step was just bringing up the color background image to the top and blending that back in on soft light, just bringing back a little bit of that original detail. Well, here you have it, overall before and now after.